I'm trying to complete a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with only fighting types. That means if a Pokemon faints, it's permanently boxed, no items are usable in battle except for held items, the game must be on set mode, and since this is a Gen 6 challenge, let's spice it up with no Mega Evolutions. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment on what challenge I should do next. Well, here's a rarity. A set of starters with one that eventually becomes the type I'm Nuzlocking with. Sure, I can't use Torchic until it evolves, but Combusken and Blaziken are fair game. Shoutouts to Coney, by the way, for the nickname idea. Honestly, it's a crime if you don't nickname your Torchics either this, Dickin, or Peacock. I'll have to use them until I hit my first fighting type, though. Because of that, I decided to do a mini challenge until I hit that first fighting type, in minimum battles. Not touching a single fight I don't have to do before hitting Rustboro. That includes facing the Poochyena while trying to get a meal out of Professor Birch, and the first rival fight without taking any other wild Pokemon out, using the power of Growl and a Burn from Ember to ensure victory against May's Mudkip. Route 102 opens from here, giving me my second inevitable fighting type in a male Ralts. Funny, considering I actually got the male on my first Ralts I found, so no need to continue searching. But we'll have to wait until after Brawly to get Gallade. One more trainer battle on this route that's required, with none on Route 104, following the catching tutorial with Norman and Wally. Of course, there's the Team Magma Grunt in Petalburg Woods, though there's actually two important captures to nab up beforehand. Those being Slackoth for trade bait, and for my actual encounter of the area, Shroomish. While it might seem strange to be getting two encounters from one area, since Nuzlockes usually only allow for the first Pokemon of an area to be caught, since Slackoth's evolutionary line isn't fighting type, I'm fine with grabbing it and carrying this silly little friendo over to Rustboro City, using it in exchange for a Makuhita just east of the gym. Finally, an actual fighting type. It's just a bit of a shame that A, it's the only one I have access to before Roxanne, and B, we're gonna have to fight with obedience for exactly this fight and no other. But hey, let's not focus on potentially sitting here for multiple attempts just hoping RNG shakes out for Makuhita against Roxanne. How about I talk about some fun stuff instead, like super training? I may as well just load my Pokemon up with their effort value straight away, though if I do lose this first attempt, I'll definitely have wasted a bit of time with Torchic, and Ralts, and Shroomish. All of them are gonna be getting full attack and speed investments, by the way, with the exception of Makuhita. Instead, going for HP and attack, since Hariyama's speed is nothing to be desired, though its HP stat really is something. Considering even at level 9, I'm sitting at a very solid 44 HP. In fact, that's why I'm okay with going into the fight with Roxanne at level 9, since if I do this, I can dodge the disobedience problem. Instead of a 50% chance of Makuhita just doing whatever the heck it wants, I'll have a much higher chance of doing damage and making headway into the fight. First turn, I'm immediately gunning for Focus Energy. After all, my only fighting type move is Arm Thrust, and it's a multi-hit move, with each hit having its own independent chance to crit. And if I'm fighting against a Geodude with Defense Curl, I'd rather have as many 25% chances as possible at beating through those increased defenses. See, normally when you go one-on-one with another Pokemon, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But me, I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal, so you got a 25% chance at best at beat me. Then you add Kurt Angle to the mix. A resisted Rock Throw does 11 damage in response, lowering my speed and forcing Makuhita to take a Tackle next turn for 14 damage, triggering the Oran Berry, but letting me pull Geodude down to less than half with 3-hit Arm Thrust. And with Geodude wasting its next turn with Harden, that's more than enough time to hit another with 2 hits, complete with 2 critical hits in a row to down the Stone Man, getting to level 10, learning Fake Out, and reaching Nose Pass. Tackle does 10 damage as it outspeeds, but Makuhita is the GOAT, as he pulls out not only a 2-hit Arm Thrust, not 3, not 4, but 5 of them!
5 of them!
Including a single crit to down Nose Pass from 100 to 0, earning me the Stone Badge with no disobedience in sight. Yeah, how do you like that game mechanics? And now I won't ever have to deal with it throughout the rest of this run. And with my level cap increased to 16, that's just enough to get Torchic to evolve into Combusken and learn Double Kick. Mind you, I really can't use it until I get to Brawly because of being that close to overleveling, but it doesn't really matter when Makuhita can just easily take care of the Team Magma Grunt in Rust Turf Tunnel, heading off to Dewford Town to enter the gym. Now there are 3 required trainers with 2 Metatites. The first one just doesn't attack, so Makuhita was able to solo it, and the second uses Confusion exactly once before going down to a Fake Out and 2 Rock Tombs, finishing off the Machop afterwards and leaving just Brawly. Now that Combusken is free to be sent out into battle though, it's just double kick spam to win. So much so that I could just one-hand the controller and go to town. Making some fresh gamer sups, the only caffeinated beverage I drink because it doesn't give me a crash afterwards. And you can get your own free sample by hitting my affiliate link in the description and using code ChaoticMeat at checkout, or for 10% off any of their cups or beverage tubs. Oh hey, Machop's already down and Makihita ate one before hitting Sand Attack. Oh goody, accuracy deprivation. It would be a shame if Combusken just didn't give a damn and kicked you again. That's the Knuckle Badge down, only 6 more to go. Another level cap means another Pokemon that becomes a fighting type is getting added to the team. Since the cap is now 21, that means Ralts can evolve into Curly at level 20, then by the power of secret super training, I can grind out the Gallade level, funnily enough, to net myself a Dawnstone, using it immediately to get my very own Gallade. I find it absolutely hilarious that you can just get Gallade this early in the game. A genuine powerhouse that just becomes bonkers once we hit the TM selection of Mauville City, though there's one major trainer that stands in my way of getting there. No, not the Magma Grunts in Oceanic Museum, they're just cannon fodder, who cares about them? Rather, it's the notorious second rival fight against May on Route 110. Complete with some pretty strong moves that could arguably make her stronger than her original Hoenn counterpart. Her Leech Shroomish has Mega Drain and Headbutt, pretty standard for a level 18 Shroomish to be fair, but still good options for early game, along with Stun Spore and Leech Seed for status, both of which are actually doing a number on my lead Combusken. I don't have a physical fire type move yet, so I'm not doing all that much damage, with Ember and Peck doing comparable damage outputs. Thankfully though, Combusken's not held down for long enough, with him taking out Shroomish in an Ember and 2 Pecks while remaining at half HP going into Marshtomp. Well, shoot, sure would have liked if Shroomish evolved about 3 levels earlier than it does for this fellow. Instead, I'm swapping into Gallade, seeing a bide in response. I have Magical Leaf, but I don't anticipate one being able to one-shot it due to Gallade's physical attack investment. So instead, I just go for Lucky Chant twice to run out the clock, giving me ample time so that if Marshtomp tries to use bide again, I'll have 2 turns to KO. Turns out I'm right that it won't one-shot, though Marshtomp just twiddles her thumbs with Mudslap, letting the accuracy bypassing Magical Leaf finish her off and leaving just Slugma. 3 confusions are all that's needed to put the goopy blob of Molten Death back to its Pokeball where it belongs, earning me the win and entry into Mauville City after some trainer dodging. 1 Wally Stoating later, and the gym is open. Now, before you say, hey Meatball, you should go to the Pokemart and get the TM for Bulldoze so you can make this gym battle a breeze. I should note that I didn't want to do that on purpose, in order to make this fight more difficult. I'm lying, I'm just very stupid. Watson leads with Magnemite, so I go with Makihita, and this is purely just to get rid of Sturdy. Fake Out does a single point of damage, and Force Palm does the rest following a Thunder Wave, triggering Makihita's Guts ability for the rest of the fight. 2 more Force Palms to the Magnet Pole Magneton and Voltorb later, and that's all she wrote. The Dynamo Badge is all mine. As are all of the TMs. Low Sweep, Aerial Ace, Facade, Bulldoze, and Power Up Punch are the ones most useful to me, especially the last of that list if my last run in Pokemon X and Y with Steel types was any indicator, which you should open in a new tab to check out after this if you haven't seen it already. And while you're at it, consider becoming a channel member. YouTube's algorithm has been extremely funky lately, especially for PC users who frequent ad blockers if recent findings from Josh Strife Hayes are to be believed, so it would mean more than you know if you'd be willing to support the channel in these very strange times for the platform. Anyway, with Power Up Punch here, I'm getting same type attack bonus from everything as opposed to just a Lucario. So I imagine it'll take a lot for a different fighting type move to take the slot on my party members, like the new one over in Fiery Path, Machop. Now there's sometimes debates as to whether or not to let trait evolutions be allowed in Nuzlocke, and frankly, I think they're fine as long as you look at other evolution lines and determine what the most fair evolution level is. Like Machop evolves into Machoke at level 28, so waiting until level 40 feels fair for Machamp. But something like Kadabra evolves from Abra at level 16, so it makes sense to follow a starter Pokemon's evolution pattern like Venusaur and have it evolve at level 32. Of course, you could just evolve them straight away, and there's no harm in that, but I tend to prefer doing it this way unless absolutely necessary, such as if you're doing a Ghost-type Nuzlocke and there's no other encounters except for the Ghastly line, in which case get yourself that Gengar ASAP, buddy, you are going to freaking need it. But I digress, that was already enough for me to yap about to get through routes 112 through 114 and into Meteor Falls, where I've got a double battle alongside May against Tabitha and a Magma Grunt. It's nearly a disaster, since I forgot to put a Person Berry on Gallade and the inevitable outcome of Mightyena using Swagger on him, leading to a self-hit and explosion from the Grunt's coughing that brings him down to 8 HP. But I go unpunished since naturally the only thing that would ever punish little old Meatball Man is exactly damage ranges and literally nothing else. That's completely fine though, since I can just swap to Cluckfuck and handle the last bit of Mighty Enna's HP and Rock Tomb the Numel to finish him off, encountering Team Aqua for the first time and hightailing it out of there in order to return to Mauville City. Interesting that they send you all the way back here in the remake. I guess it would be faster than heading all the way back through routes 113, 112, and Fiery Path, but I guess I'll take it out of convenience. Oh yeah, I guess I should also EV train Machop through super training before heading up there regardless. Attack and speed. Enough said. Ain't no way you're seeing a special attacking Machamp unless it's someone painfully unaware that the physical special split was something that had to occur in Gen 4 and decided to put the elemental punches on one in Gen 2. Anyway, right up Mount Chimney we go, since I'm confronting Mr. Hidden Ball Trick himself, Maxie, for the first time. With the entire team at level 26 and Hariyama pre-burned to ensure I can take advantage of Guts, I'm ready to roll. The Persimberry is locked and loaded on Gallade, so I'm more than free to go for Sword Stance and eat a Swagger from his lead Mighty Enna to go to +3 after Intimidate. But, the Swagger missed. Okay then. Well, I don't want the off chance of seeing Roar, since he's scared that I'm going for a stat boosting move, so I simply go for a +1 power-up punch, outspeeding and managing to KO with the 40 power move, going up to +2 attack as Golbat enters second. It's a little more threatening, given that it has flying-type moves, and I forgot to replace Aerial Ace with Rock Tomb so that I could have a super effective attack for all 3 of Maxie's Pokemon, but turns out +2 Aerial Ace one-shots Golbat anyway, leaving just Camerupt. 1 +2 Bulldoze later, and them's the breaks, pal. Give me that there Meteorite. One Jagged Pass stealth mission to avoid trainers later, and Lava Ridge Town is in my sights. I'm ready for this doubleheader against Flannery and Norman, with the former leading Slugma as I'm once again going Gallade, setting up Sword Stance in the face of Sunny Day. Ooh, this is actually kind of perfect, since I can go for a second one, and even if Overheat crits, due to crits only doing 1.5 times the damage starting in Gen 6, that would be a free +4 boost since I'm not dying to it, and therefore 3 KOs to Slugma, Torkoal, and Numel with 3 Bulldozes to earn me the Heat Badge. Not too shabby, though I think Norman is going to be the one that requires me to think outside the box. And by outside the box, I mean literally the amount of time needed for May to offer bringing me back to Petalburg City, since I just gave Dig to Hariyama. Guess it makes sense that he can learn it. Guy's got big hands. There's a reason that Iron Hands exists. It's plenty enough too, because Hariyama can just flinch the lead slacking turn 1 with Fake Out Prio, then go for Dig, being slower on the Truant turn and coming up after his attack. Probably only needed to do this once though, since the second one ended up bringing Slacking into the red. But that's only in hindsight. I thought I'd keep digging to burn through Norman's supply of healing items, but turns out in Gen 6, Truant's every other turn clock does not progress when an item is used in battle, meaning I accidentally used Dig on an attacking turn and came up during a Truant turn, leaving me open to a yawn. Not a problem though, since Force Palm KOs it upon the follow-up, leading to Vigoroth, which Machoke should be able to handle cleanly. Retaliate's power is doubled thanks to Slacking going down last turn, but it only manages to do half, and is then reduced from Machoke's held Oranberry. This is actually enough to keep a second non-boosted Retaliate from being able to KO if it crits, which it doesn't, which leaves Low Sweep to get the KO as the second and final Slacking enters the building. One swap into Hariyama later to tank a chip away, and we're basically home free. 2 digs and a Force Palm later without Slacking having the chance to hit Hariyama due to Truant, and the Balance Badge is in my possession. 5 down, 3 in the league to go. The biggest change in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's story compared to Base Hoenn is coming up right here with the detour to Southern Island, not only providing me with Latios, but a multi-battle alongside Steven against Magma Admin Courtney and another Grunt. Unsurprisingly, Steven's Batang is able to take out the Grunt's Coughing with Zen Headbutt and then die immediately to Camerupt's Earth Power, turning this into a 1v1 between Gallade and Camerupt, with the former wailing on it with Bulldoze and using the hat trick of them to take out the Chonker before Curse could be used in tandem with Takedown to earn the win and send me back on my merry way through routes 118 and 119, arriving at the Weather Institute. Speaking of, that's another Magma face-off with Tabitha having the exact same Camerupt as Courtney. Sure, it's 1 level higher, but it's got Lava Plume, Earth Power, Curse, and Takedown. What the heck is that moveset anyway? I mean, at least give the big boy more than a single move to take advantage of Curse with. But then again, Camerupt is a pretty reasonable mixed attacker, so I guess it's not the most baffling set to run with? I don't know. And in the time that it took me to yap about the identical Camerupt, I managed to down it with a mix of Machoke's Low Sweep and Hariyama's Fake Out and... Surf? When the hell did this guy get Surf? I mean, I guess I appreciate not having to grab an HM user at this moment, and I guess that he's got big enough hands to be a good swimmer, and big enough body to have enough buoyancy to not only support his own weight, but a trainer's as well. You know, Just one more battle to take care of before entering Fortree City, and that's my third rival fight against May. Still no new team member, and still rocking a Shroomish at level 31. Seriously, what the heck, girl? You could have at least had me a little worried. Then again, it probably would have just been the same outcome as what I went for here, using Gallade once again as my lead, and holding a Pecha Berry to fight back against Poison Powder for a turn, taking it to use Sword Stance, then sweeping with a +2 Aerial Ace to Shroomish, Power-Up Punch to Slugma since this is a Magma Armor Slugma, no risk of Flame Body, then 2 Power-Up Punches in the face of Marshtomp through a Protect, earning me a damageless victory. Damn, I haven't had one of these in a while. I forgot how satisfying it is to break down a fight to an absolute science like that to ensure an utterly dominant victory. Not to mention, I finally got access to Psycho Cut at the end of that battle, a physical psychic move that'll let me take advantage of that stab that I've been oh so missing from Gallade thus far. And with the Devon Scope in hand after a quick Kecleon thrashing on Route 120, I'm ready for the most threatening fight of this run, Winona. Mostly because I can't continue past Route 120 to go to the Safari Zone, otherwise I would be grabbing Heracross and then go down to Mount Pyre for Monotype beforehand for added insurance, but I should be fine. Swallow is her lead, so I go for Gallade once again as my lead, since Sword Stance really just cooks some teams. Naturally, Gallade has to eat an Aerial Ace in retaliation, doing just barely over half damage and triggering my newly obtained Citrus Berry, healing off half of that inflicted damage as Rock Tomb nets me the KO next turn. Second is Pelipper, and with that annoying Protect stall turn, but it goes down to Rock Tomb regardless. Third is Skarmory, and she's perfect fodder for Power-Up Punch, taking just less than half as Air Cutter comes Gallade's way. But now that he's up to +3, Power-Up Punch just nets me the KO, putting Gallade up to +4 to yield way more than enough damage to Altaria with Rock Tomb to get the KO and the Feather Badge. Gallade can do no wrong, it seems. After all, what can't he do if he can sweep an entire team of flying types as a fighting type? Well, for starters, he could probably miss a range. That's bound to happen at some point in this frickin' run, because it happens in every run I do. Well now, we've got the biggest jump of level cap so far from 35 to 45 in preparation for Tate and Liza, so that's free real estate for Combuskin to finally evolve into Blaziken, dodging trainers and making my way through routes 120 and 121 in order to hit Lily Cove City. I was going to hit up the Move Deleter's house and reformat my movesets before the penultimate rival battle here, but alas, they changed the location from blocking the Lily Cove department store extremely visibly to just hitting an invisible barrier on the staircase leading up to both that and the Move Deleter building. Not my best moment ever, but at least I had Gallade up front to fight against May's lead Swellow, setting up Sword Stance in the face of an agility and double team, and despite so, I'm able to hit a Rock Tomb through the evasion increased, then blasting away at the rest of the team in Psycho Cut for Swampert, which wasn't quite enough at +2, surprisingly, so Power-Up Punch let Gallade get to +3 after Rock Slide did a pitiful amount of damage, leaving just Macargo to eat a Power-Up Punch and Brainlimb to a Psycho Cut, earning me the win and access to the new goodies. Such as this nice old man over here. See, if I save in front of him, I can soft reset multiple times to ensure I get a Lumberry, which I can then plant and get a whole bunch of for the rest of this run. I don't know why that last part was in quotes. Then, of course, the TMs in the department store, and finally the Move Deleter being able to get rid of stuff like Surf and Rock Smash off of Hariyama, and Strength off of Breloom. Seriously, the HM usage is just nonsense. I hate it. For some reason, though, I thought the Remove Reminder was also in Lily Cove, when turns out it was already available in Falarbor Town. Oops. Well, at least I can go back to Mauville and just Rock Smash my way to getting a few heart scales for that express purpose, like getting Night Slash on Gallade. Nothing else for now, but we'll need quite a few more for future encounters like Heracross over in the Safari Zone, thankfully with no chance of running away, as well as Meditite on Mount Pyre's exterior. I usually write off Meditite, but this time, because it's Gen 4 and after, I was very lucky and I was able to get one that has the ability Pure Power as a Medicham, and that'll be insanely helpful for pretty much the rest of the game, to be completely honest. As for the Magma encounter at the summit, Fake Out and Bulldoze from Hariyama to Camerupt does the trick, nothing to it. Seriously, Courtney, just get a new Pokemon. You can't just use the stupid Camerupt that Maxie uses, you gotta add a few more to the arsenal. One flight to Slateport later, a quick view of the submarine getting stolen, and it's off to the Magma hideout just to the east of Lily Cove. Mind you, the magma hideout does not matter at all. Rather, the only thing of note that I should mention is that I finally took the time to reset Blaziken's EVs. I had gotten a reset bag from tapping the bottom screen for super training mode a little while ago for this express purpose, and since getting the Focus Blast TM from the Lily Cove department store as well as Solar Beam from the Safari Zone, I figured I could finally reformat him into being the special attacker this team so desperately needs. With the moveset reformat of Sunny Day, Solar Beam, Focus Blast, and Incinerate, I'm feeling pretty happy about Blaziken being more useful going forward, sans speed boost of course, though Flamethrower isn't going to be available until Victory Road, and I'd rather not put both Fire Blast and Focus Blast on the same Pokemon. That's just asking for a disaster, hence the Incinerate slot. One camera up to curb stop later, and I'm free to finally head into Moss Deep City, home of the 7th Gym Leader duo in Tate and Liza. The puzzle has been reformatted again. There was one with the slidey puzzle in Ruby and Sapphire, and then you had the little rotating statues in Emerald, and now it's whatever the hell this is. But most of the trainers are easy enough to avoid, letting me reach Tate and Liza and donk them into oblivion. Sure, it's a double battle, but who cares when Gallade's Night Slash KOs Lunatone in one shot and Solrock falls to Seed Bomb from Breloom? Mind badge in hand, let's finish this off strong. Delving down to the seafloor cavern for the final battle against Maxie is an easy trip, complete with the best TM I could have ever asked for, Earthquake. Nearly double the power of Bulldoze and hitting extremely hard with the Sword Stance users like Gallade and Heracross, it's the best coverage I could have looked for that wasn't for flying types. If I want that, I can just use Stone Edge. Heck, why not test it against Maxie? One close combat from Gallade takes out Mightyena, one Psycho Cut each for Weezing and Crobat, and for the ultimate test, Mega Camerupt. Will Earthquake take it down even without Sword Stance? Yes, it will. Down goes Mega Camerupt because it's one of the worst Megas of all time, releasing Groudon into the Cave of Origin. Luckily, I'm not required to capture it, so I'm clear to just send Hariyama in there, use Fake Out to trip up the AI into using Rest, and KO it to Earthquakes to take advantage of Primal Groudon's partial fire typing to take it out no problem. And that's the last gym opened up. Putting Breloom in the lead with Power Up Punch was the perfect solution as Love Disc is Wallace's lead, and I can mess with the AI perfectly here. See, Power Up Punch brings Love Disc into the red as he uses Sweet Kiss to confuse Breloom, albeit it's easily healable thanks to a held Lumberry, but that also forces him into using his one Hyper Potion, giving Breloom time to hit another Power Up Punch for the KO and boost a +2 attack. From here, I admittedly started to one-hand the controller after starting to deliver Seed Bombs. That sounds really bad. Oh, I should have not scripted it like that. I imagine because of Breloom's Seed Bomb, the attack, I'm not one-handing because I'm coming, okay? I'm making gamer subs on my desk. That's what I'm doing. Speaking of which, while I'm voicing this video, I should probably make some more. Link in the description. Use code ChaoticMeat for 10% off, by the way. Little did I know, after looking up from making my drink, my Lodic nearly ended Breloom with an Ice Beam, while Seed Bomb took care of everything up until Wallace's last Pokemon in Seaking. Thankfully though, I went unpunished as Seaking used Aqua Ring, letting me win the fight deathless since the Meatball Man will never ever on God's green earth be punished by anything in the Pokemon Challenge with the exception of exactly damage ranges. Rain Badge in hand, let's clean up those last few encounters and build out the Victory Road in Elite Four teams. You know, Breloom, you really disappoint me. Completely ass-crass fighting type. Why don't you be more like that majestic stallion Betterloom over there? That's right, from the Pathless Plain, I can grab Virizion as my encounter. I'm not actually going to use it, I just wanted to make Breloom feel bad for being slow as sloth taking shit after having tried processing molasses through its digestive tract. As for my real encounters, there's a whole slew of new ones due to the weird Primal Reversion energy attracting a ton of non-native Pokemon to the Hoenn region, like Tyrogue on Route 112, which I'll be evolving into Hitmonchan for the Elemental Punches, Scraggy on Route 113 as my Psychic immunity I've been so desperately craving, and finally Mankey in the Jagged Pass. A shame I don't get that additional normal and fighting immunity from the Ghost typing that Annihilate would have. Would have gone crazy being immune to about a sixth of the types in the game all at once. There's also a little bit of TM collection I had to take care of, like grabbing U-Turn from the Mauville Hills apartments thanks to that being opened up by Watson, as well as Sword Stance from this Black Belt and Lava Ridge while grabbing some more move reminders like Ice and Thunder Punch for Hitmonchan and Medicham, and Cross Chop for Primeape since it doesn't learn close combat until after the league level cap of 55. So I needed the next best thing. The last question is what 3 Pokemon am I bringing in primarily for the trek and eventual Wally fight? I say 3 because Latios has to stay on the team as the HM user for Surf and Waterfall, Breloom stays because it's the only strength user, and Hariyama is a bulky bastard that also still has Rock Smash because I couldn't really get rid of it yet. I think it's a pretty easy choice of Blaziken, Medicham, and Gallade. Special attacker, and physical sweeper with one admittedly useless guy and one bulkster, so this should go pretty well. Victory Road is easy enough to get through with this team, though I do find it hilarious just how many non-Hoenn native Pokemon are in this area. They just all come out of the woodwork and the devs went hog wild, being like, well, we're no longer bound by the original at this point. Let's mess with people by throwing things like Frostlass or Hitmontop or Throw or Sock or Musharna at them, with Throw and Sock being available on Route 112 for myself, but I already got Tyrogue from that route, so no dice for me. With the TM for Flamethrower in hand, though, and taught to Blaziken, it's time for Wally. Well, his team is about 80% the same from the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, with the exception of Gallade being his Gardevoir replacement, and while I wanted to use this fight as a showcase for Medicham straight away, I just could not for the life of me figure out a proper way to keep Medicham alive through the entire thing. However, I of course could do it with Gallade and Sword Stance because I am a dork who loves using setup sweeps. Using 2 in the face of an Aerial Ace and Cotton Guard, though that +3 defense increase made Psycho Cut not a one-shot, forcing Gallade to take a second Aerial Ace and heal a little from the Citrus Berry. It should be enough HP though, considering the Magneton later on has Sturdy. Futures aside, Gallade finishes off Altaria with the second Psycho Cut, cleaving through Roselia and Delcatty with the same over the course of the next 2 turns as that Magneton finally hits the field. This is what Earthquake is here for, folks, and it hits Magneton down to Sturdy, forcing Gallade to take a discharge that just barely doesn't take Gallade down, nor does it paralyze, surviving on 26 HP and delivering a second Earthquake to Magneton to finish it off, leaving just the mirror match. Mega Gallade is cool and all, Wally, but have you ever heard the good word of +4 Psycho Cut, finishing off the battle to open up the Evergrande Plateau? Is the Indigo Plateau just the special name of the league for Kanto and Johto? Why aren't the rest of them plateaus? They're kind of a cool word. I like the word plateau, other than when it comes to my weight loss, then I hate it. Regardless, the final team I'm going with is Blaziken, Heracross, Medicham, Gallade, Hitmonchan, and Scrafty. Not often do I almost completely swap out the whole squad, but I'm going to need a lot of firepower for this league, especially for Drake and Steven. So much so that I went out of my way to go grab the TM for Dragonclaw as a last-minute addition for Scrafty. If I can have the coverage, I may as well take it. Do I have a chance of getting through Deathless, or will somebody pick off a team member before it's said and done? Leave your guess in a comment below along with your suggestion for the next game and type I should do. I do listen to bribes, by the way. Super thanks are a quick way to get me to do one of the runs that you want to see in specific. Sydney's up first, and it's no surprise that Gallade's up to be able to sweep through a bevy of dark types, setting up Sword Stance in the face of an Intimidate to get to +1, then a Swagger to get to +3 as the confusion is healed off by a held Lumberry. From there, it's just going to town with either Earthquake or Close Combat, with the former on Mightyena and latter on Absol, before Shiftry came out third and hit a Fake Out. Okay, cool. Thanks for triggering my Gallade's Steadfast ability and giving him +1 speed. Now I'll Uber Sweep with Close Combat on Shiftry, Sharpedo, and Cacturn to win the fight. Next up is Phoebe, and this time it's Heracross at the helm due to the nifty Night Slash being available, and me wanting to put it on Heracross instead of Gallade, so that the latter of which could have had Earthquake. Because of that, I'm just able to slap on a Sword Stance, take a Confuse Ray, heal it with a Helm Lumberry, and destroy your entire team in Dusclops, Bayonet, Dustmore, and Bayonet number 2 with +2 Night Slashes, sans the last member, Sableye, who dodges Pin Missile. I decided on this over Mega Horn since it could come up for Sturdy against Steven, plus the accuracy is higher, but apparently that doesn't matter right now since Sableye's slapping Heracross around with a critical Shadow Claw. Thankfully, the second Pin Missile connects, ending Sableye with the minimum 2-hit roll to earn me the victory. Heracross continues the smackdown on Glacia though, setting up Sword Stance against her lead Glalie as she goes for Hail, giving me free reign to go for Close Combat on Glalie, Night Slash on both Frostlasses, and 2 more Close Combats on Walrein and Glalie to earn me the win. Why are there 4 Pokemon of the same divergent evolution line? 2 Glalie, 2 Frostlass. Didn't you, add Frostlass for the variety? I mean, I probably would have taken a Celio over the second Glalie. I don't know, I just am complaining for the sake of complaining at this point. I won, time to move on to Drake. Speaking of, Drake ends up being the victim of a sweep. No setup required. Medicham is just able to go out there with pure power Ice Punch like it's an ECW-style Type A deathmatch, KOing Altaria, Flygon number 2, and Salamence with it, leaving Kingdra to go down to 2 Zen Headbutts through a Yawn to win the fight damageless. For those of you unaware, by the way, a Type A deathmatch is where both competitors tape their fists, dip those fists in hot glue, and then dip those fists into shards of broken glass. Very useful for punching. Speaking of punching, I think it's time for Hitmonchan to shine against Steven, leading off with Skarmory as I start blasting up power-up punches. 3 of them take Skarmory down to red HP as 3 layers of spikes are set up, but who the hell cares? After a full restore to Skarmory, I'm just firing off 2 more power-up punches to get Hitmonchan to +5 attack, KOing and leaving the rest of the fight in shambles. Claydol, Ice Punch, KO! Aggron, trifecta of power-up punches through a Sturdy trigger, an Iron Tail that did a little over half, a full restore, a second trigger of Sturdy before finally falling. Cradilly, Ice Punch, game over. Armaldo, Mach Punch, give me a break. And finally, Metagross. The Mega Evolved monster is ready to roll as I'm going for Mach Punch for that priority, and unfortunately, even at +6, it's only enough to do half damage to the behemoth. But it misses with Zen Headbutt, baby, giving me the opportunity to fire off the priority move once again next turn, only to get bodied by a Bullet Punch that managed to rip through the last 59 HP of Hitmonchan, forcing me to go into Blaziken and finish it off for good with Flamethrower. Are you kidding me? I went through the entire thing deathless, and the last fight of the game, on the last turn of the fight, is fumbled by a 40 power priority steal move that's unboosted and yet doing the same percentage of damage as a +6 stab power-up punch from a Pokemon with the Iron Fist ability. I am mad. You know what, Steven? Fuck you. I'm gonna do it right this time. And I mean this time by going through the Delta episode, kicking through the post-credits May fight that of course forces me to lead with my dead Hitmonchan and therefore take a pot shot on my required switch here. It's fine though, since I can just swap into Medicham, delivering an Ice Punch to Swallow to KO and get to Raichu, the perfect Pokemon for me to go out into Gallade and eat a Thunder Wave from thanks to the held Lumberry, bringing her from 100 to 0 with Earthquake next turn. 2 down, 3 to go as Magcargo comes out, and despite having already eaten through the Lumberry, I'm gonna go for 2 Sword Stances through 2 Lava Plumes so that I potentially have enough firepower to get through Swampert. Turns out Gallade doesn't get burned though, so that's a free Earthquake to Magcargo, Psycho Cut to Breloom, and finally capping off with the sheer bulk of Mega Swampert. But it's not enough to get the job done as close combat ends the bout, retaining my championship title. Consider this the year-long title reign portion of the Cena Wins LOL Nuzlocke. After all, there's a bunch of Team Magma to take care of through the Delta episode, and even with Courtney attempting to use the power of Mega Camerupt, it's not enough. There's really only 2 challenging battles of the Delta episode. Of course, Zinni on the top of Sky Pillar, but Wallace with a more Emerald-esque champion team at the base of the area. Naturally, I'm giving Breloom another shot here with Seed Bomb, taking out his lead Wailord, leading to Milotic, who once again shocks me as Breloom just doesn't outspeed this stupidly large water serpent thing and eats a Blizzard, surviving thankfully before Seed Bomb again does the job, KOing in 1 shot. Third is Tentacruel, so naturally I'm not able to Seed Bomb that for super effective damage, so it's out to Primate for the first time to absorb a Sludge Wave before Earthquake absolutely annihilates the competition in 1 shot. I love puns. Fourth is Whiscash, a perfect opportunity to use U-turn and get back into Breloom as Whiscash sets up Rain Dance, but seeing as he's not a Swift Swimmer, that's a safe Seed Bomb and KO if I've ever seen one. Fifth out is Ludicolo, and naturally that's a swap into Heracross since I don't have too much that can hit a Grass-Water combo for super effective damage. Taking an Ice Beam that does a shockingly low amount of damage. Seriously, dude, you are out of practice. Next turn, Heracross gets outsped and nailed with a Scald, burning in the process, but that's what the contingency held the Lumberry is for, because I got unfortunately unlucky and rolled a Swarm Heracross rather than a Guts Heracross, ensuring that I can nail a Pin Missile without an attack reduction, KOing it with a 2-hit combo. Last out is Gyarados, nailing a rain-boosted Waterfall on my switch out into Medicham, but it does less than half as I retaliate with Thunder Punch next turn, nailing that quad-effective KO and the win. After a bunch of Zinnia yapping about Arceus knows what, I'm finally able to confront her at the top of Sky Pillar, but oh wait, there's Rayquaza. Turns out this one is required to be caught before fighting her, which is totally fine. I ended up getting lucky and just toss a quick ball to nail it, but it wants a spot in my party. That's also fine, because I came up here with 5 team members and Latios for HMs. So I'll just swap out Latios from the last slot of my party, and the battle starts with Rayquaza in the lead. Great. I really didn't want to have to take a pot shot on this fight of all things. You know what? Screw it. I don't need you anymore. Into the meat grinder you go, Breloom. Satisfying after how many times you disappointed me. Now, Medicham can enter the fray and just power up punch Goodra twice through a huge Dragon Pulse, doing about 100 damage as a Citrus Berry helps heal off some of that, going down to a second power up punch. Now then, Ice Punch to Altaria and Noivern and High Jump Kick to Tyrantrum are enough to leave her with just Salamence. But not just any Salamence, as she powers up that Keystone to go into Mega Salamence. I gotta put him out of his misery though, since that form is not the most mentally stable thing of all time, and despite the Intimidate drop, +1 Ice Punch still manages to do the job cleanly, earning me the win and only putting me up to 2 deaths. Not that Breloom really mattered in the grand scheme of things, she was only really kinda here to use Strength. And it wasn't like I was gonna keep her unevolved until level 40 to teach Spore to Shroomish. That just sounds very stupid in a fighting Nuzlocke when Shroomish isn't a fighting type. But with that taken care of, off through the Meteor we crash, run into Deoxys, and manage to put down the level 80 Psychic Behemoth with 2 of Heracross's pin missiles. Who knew this eminent world-ending catastrophe was solvable by a bug that could hit things really hard? Speaking of hitting things really hard, that's what the final team against the Elite Four Round 2 are ready to do. Medicham, Heracross, Gallade, Primeape, Blaziken, and Scrafty should be able to carry me through with the new level cap of a whopping 75. Sydney's rocking a brand new team leading Scrafty as Medicham takes first crack at him, ripping through with 2 power-up punches in the face of a Crunch that does a little bit less than half, putting Medicham at +2 in the face of his second Pokemon in Mandibuzz. Ah, Gen 5 enjoyer I see. Very based. Alas, she still falls to Ice Punch in one shot, as does Absol to High Jump Kick, only to reveal it's Zoroark in disguise. Shoot, half the team's Gen 5. I wasn't taking any risks though, because Mega Evolution here with Absol might be a little threatening, but I was completely fine with taking that High Jump Kick risk. Fourth is Shiftry, using Fake Out and overall healing Medicham thanks to the trigger of the Citrus Berry, leaving me to KO with Ice Punch, Sharpedo with Power Up Punch to bring Medicham to +3 attack, and since I'm still a little worried about Mega Absol, I do go for the High Jump Kick again, and that was always going to be able to do the job. Second is Phoebe, and just like last time, I'm going with Heracross and the power of Night Slash, holding a Lumberry in the face of her lead Bayonet as I go for Swords Dance, taking a Psychic in the process. Perfect, now it's just Night Slash till the cows come home, taking out Bayonet, Drifblim without a care in the world about Aftermath, Chandelure, Dusknoir, Mismagius, and finally Mega Sableye after a Fake Out does a decent chunk of damage, once again with Pin Missile, hitting a crit and a regular one in a single 2-hit combo to win the fight in short order. Glacie is a bit of a worry since not only does she have a lead Abomasnow with Snow Warning, but also multiple Pokemon with Snow Cloak, and I really don't want to risk anything regarding that. So I got just the solution. Blaziken is here and finally ready to do something this run, setting up Sunny Day turn 1 through an Earthquake that hurts like hell, but not enough to KO as Flamethrower takes out Abomasnow in one shot, leading to Wall Rain. Now, this might sound nuts to stay in against something with Stab Surf, but I think the power decrease from Sunny Day should be plenty enough to keep her at bay, assuming Blaziken misses Focus Blast once. And he doesn't. Alright, well, always good to have a backup plan regardless. The rest fall to Flamethrower as Vanillux, Frostlass, Beartick, and Mega Glalie are all downed by the Victory Road TM, leaving just Drake of the Elite Four. This is pretty much just the same start that we did before, Medicham versus Altaria, this time with me going for Power Up Punch in the face of an Aerial Ace just to ensure I keep off that later Intimidate drop from Salamence. At least from there, it's just a single Ice Punch each to Altaria, Flygon, Haxorus, and Dragalge to KO all 4, but unfortunately triggering the Poison Point ability of Dragalge. I say unfortunately because I don't have Facade on my moveset to take advantage of it on Kingdra, though High Jump Kick does the job just fine to one-shot the most above-average Mike Sanders of Pokemon that you could physically get. I mean, seriously, base 80 stats across the entire board, that's 80% of a mythical right there if you actually think about it. Of course, this leaves just another Mega Salamence, which I've proven that Ice Punch can take care of no problem, though this time it's at neutral rather than +1. Beautiful. Now to get my deathless revenge! Steven, I am just basically doing the same strat I did with Hitmonchan against you, but instead with Medicham, using Power Up Punch and letting Spikes get set up throughout with Skarmory, but this time he only goes for 1 layer before going for Toxic as I get off 2 Power Up Punches. Not exactly my expectation, but this is why I put a Lumberry on Medicham just in case, firing off the 3rd after outspeeding next turn to get the KO and up to +3 attack. That's enough for me to High Jump Kick his next Pokemon and... Carbink? That's not a Steel type. And there's 6 generations of Steel types to choose from. Like Magnezone, that would have been a great choice. It's fine though, Aggron's at least a Steel type again out 3rd and with Sturdy, so it's Power Up Punch time to finish off those boosts. Going to +4 on the first Sturdy trigger while dodging Iron Tail, +5 on the second after a full restore, and +6 after a second full restore. Alright, sure, I'll work through all the healing items just fine, no complaints. A few more power-up punches finishes off Aggron, and now I'm ready to slam the rest of the team. Gladol's fourth, down to Ice Punch, leading to Aerodactyl. Huh, I see you're taking some inspiration from Lance. The only risk of the team, but frankly it's not really a risk of the team when it doesn't have a flying type attack. Sure, having all 3 elemental fangs is a good coverage, but that's why I don't have Fire Punch, because having Thunder and Ice is plenty enough, electrocuting it with Thunder Punch to leave just Metagross. Sure, Fire Punch would be specifically nice for this because super effective, but like, why? I have 130 power high jump kick at +6 attack. This is going to absolutely blast Mega Metagross in the face 3 times over. Sure enough, I dodge yet another miss, nailing Mega Metagross and pulling off the rematch Deathless. Finishing out the extended Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Hardcore Nuzlocke with only fighting types. I really wanted to do this one after seeing Axel of Antler Boy fame do this exact run last year, allowing Mega Evolutions and only going up through the first Steven fight, especially since he didn't realize you can actually get those National Index Pokemon after the first Legendary encounter and before the first match with the League. While technically not on screen for any major fights, it was cool as heck being able to use Scrafty as a nice Psychic type pivot for random trainers, or Primeape as just a pure powerhouse with some of the strongest physical moves in the game, or Primeape as just a pure powerhouse with some of the strongest physical moves in the game, like Close Combat, U-Turn, Stone Edge, and Earthquake. Or the option of Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, or Hitmontop, though the first of them is probably the best due to the elemental punches as a backup for Medicham if you don't roll into pure power like I did. Though even if you did, you kind of want to roll into Iron Fist, aka its second ability, otherwise you're probably better off going for Hitmonlee, just not Hitmontop, that guy's trash. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is only the 11th video I've put out this year, and I've been really wanting to pick up the pace again, and genuinely, these videos are such fun little things to put together, while giving me ample time to work on the bigger projects that I can only tend to do once or twice a month. Also, my birthday's coming up in about 3 weeks, and I plan on doing a mini weekend celebration thing. Not sure what I want to fit into it yet, but tentatively I've been really wanting to do the Professor Oak's challenge for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with the DLC on the Switch 2 now that it runs like an actual video game. So I imagine it'll be that, but no promises yet. Until next time though, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.